I'm a 7-year itch person, so every 7 years, 7 is a nice number to fulfill things, you know, because the first year of doing anything is awful. You cry, you wonder why you're there, you don't know what you're doing, you hate the people you're working with or whatever. And then second year is better, and third year, ooh, you know, and fourth year, whoa, and fourth and fifth year, you're on the top of your game, and then, yeah, I've been here, done this, yeah, same old thing, okay, some new things, but not much new. And then I have to get a problem so that I can move on, if you know what I mean. I have to put myself in a new situation. Yeah. I don't like getting stale. You know, if you're going to be artistic in any way, you have to get knocked about, jump about, look at things from different angles. You can't just, you know, keep doing the same old thing. I think that the separation of things and labeling of things is kind of difficult sometimes in life. You know, you're a woman, or you're a girl, or you're a teacher, or you're an artist. And I find that they all blend together, and I don't always think of it as like separate chunks. You know, I think any job can be an art, you know? I mean, when I look at an accountant and how they can take things and work them all out and figure it out and make a plan and look at the past and get immediate access to something you need, I think that's wonderful. Yeah. You know? Yeah. The hard part for me is always the editing, the seeing it through to the end, the really polishing it, the getting down to the, you know, the structure, the words, the exact words, the creating the image in words and the feeling and so on. You know, it's like being a chef, really, I think. You know, you have all the ingredients, you put them together, you follow a recipe, but it doesn't mean you're a chef if you're just following a recipe. You then have to create your own special dishes, you know. And so horrible. So I went to the Middle East and 7.5 years there.
Wow, the Middle East.
Teaching in Abu Dhabi to the National Women, no theater. I decided, I was actually hired with the idea that I might do theater. I thought, no, I'm not doing this. I'm doing English. I want to hide in the group. There are various reasons for that I won't go into. But anyway, I did that, and I enjoyed my time there. And then I felt that that was it. I'd made a contribution, and I taught the first UAE camera woman, the first UAE female sports broadcaster, and the women were really coming up and making their dreams come true. And I thought, good, great, they're on their way, time to go. So then I came back to Vancouver. One of the ways that I found was really interesting was what I called the chorus. In other words, that a lot of women, including myself, I started with myself, have a chorus of women that, or men, sometimes men are in there too, that you bounce ideas off of and get support from. They're sort of like, you know, there's you and then there's these people. And seldom more than 6 or 7, sometimes only 3. And, you know, so that they provide a kind of network of people that you can get ideas from, bounce your ideas off, tell the truth to, even argue with and still be friends with. So, you know, I had to have friends because they became some kind of family. The only thing you have to learn about that is you have to let them go, because they're not going to stay in your life all the time. They're not family. They're pseudo-family, but nice to have. So you have to be able to let them go, and new people come in, and it's a flow of things, which is creative too, in a way, you know. One of the ones that came out, because I sent a question out to other women and said, what is your most significant learning experience? And when it came back from women from the age of 80 to about 20, 25 or so, I found that one of the ways that women learn is through their reproductive systems. Either they've had an abortion, or they debated that, or they couldn't get pregnant when they wanted to be, or they were pregnant when they didn't want to be, or they couldn't get pregnant. So all of them mentioned something about that. None of them mentioned marriage, interestingly enough. I hurt and I'm getting arthritis and I don't want sex, and I've been celibate for years. I have no intention of breaking my celibacy. That's something I want in my life now. And I think celibacy is the last frontier in sexual freedom. Yeah, it's the one that nobody wants to talk about. You can talk about trans, gay, lesbian, everything else, fine, no problem now. Well, not in everywhere, but here certainly. But, celibacy, people just, think you're not sexy, you're too old, you're whatever, and that's not true. I think experiences with sexuality, experiences with friends, and I think there's not a lot of plays about women friendship, and I notice they're coming out more. Also, a huge amount of plays about past abuse and how people are dealing with that. Mortified at Studio 58 had that theme because the Me Too thing and all the rest of it has come out, and that's really important. Each generation brings out something. Yeah, and I think our generation did a lot about women's rights, freedom of sexuality, but all the free love stuff was basically a male idea, right? Free love, just any girl we want whenever we want them. And, love them and leave them, and that was okay, and that's free love. No, free for you guys doesn't always work for us.
Yeah.
But it gave us some choices, when you were the first generation to be on the pill. Woman who is older, and I have a memorial shelf which I borrowed from the Japanese tradition, where there's something from the dead on each shelf, a picture of them or something they've made me or a card they've given me or whatever it is. And there are 5 or 6 and I'm not talking elderly relatives who've died necessarily, but friends, so yes, 2 from cancer, diabetes, smoking, alcohol, so there's 6 or 7 up there already. And so it makes you think, what do I want for my older years and so on, and what have they given me, and how do they still speak to me, so yeah, I honor them on Halloween rather than you just eat I eat candy too, but so you have to love what you do, you have to weave it into your life, and then you have to be disciplined. If you think it's going to come to you just by magical talent, forget it. It's hard work. It's hard work. And, it's worth it if you love it. Because you'll get your rewards one way or another. And maybe not in the form you think, Maybe it'll go in a different direction, And you have to be open to that. But it's really important to love what you do. I learned to entertain myself to some extent and rely on myself to some extent. But now as you get older, you've got to ask for help because you can't do it all alone anymore. And so now I'll learn new lessons about humility. Like sitting down with my Eri, my Japanese young woman who comes to help clean because I can't do some of the cleaning anymore. And so I said, computer, I need to know how to do this and this and this for this new thing. And she teaches me, and that's good. I have to be humbled. I have to, I'm not the know-it-all person anymore. And that's probably why I'm not into technology, because it makes me feel stupid. And maybe I have to feel stupid to learn something new and go back to the beginning again, which is always hard. But I still have a lot to learn, so many faults. I try to keep the number on the finger of one hand, though. With the good southern. Art is the marriage of the heart and the mind in an exploration to make life for everyone better.